Hi, my name is Peter Hartman, and you're watching The Appreciationist, the pre-show. Pre-show happens every Wednesday at 6:45 p.m., between 6:45 and 7 o'clock. It allows you a time to set up your webcam, set up your microphone, get in on the show before it starts, get your bearings, ask your questions, whatever you want to do to get prepared for the show at 7. If you're here for the show at 7, you're a little early. We'll be starting the show in about 10 minutes or so. So the show runs from 7 to 7:30. Often it goes for another extra half an hour. That's not on purpose. That's just because, you know, when you're having fun, time flies, doesn't it? So you're watching The Appreciationist. Just hang in there. If you want to be a part of the show, please follow the information, the instructions or the description of the event. You can find that on Google+, and you can also find that on our Meetup page. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find it there as well. If you want to participate but you don't have a webcam and you don't have a microphone, you can, of course, ask questions either by posting in the comments anywhere that you can find us. Google+, YouTube, Facebook, Meetup, Law of Attraction, whatever you want, instant message, Skype, I don't know. Wherever you can find us, you can send us a message, or you can use the Q&A app that is in the Google Hangout system right here, right now. There's a new system called Applause. Not that I'm begging for applause, but if you want to test that out, if you want to help us see how that works, please feel free to participate with that. And hang in there because the show will be starting soon. Hey, Dimitri, how's it going?
Pretty good, you?
Awesome. Awesome, very good.
Came early this time.
Indeed.
8 minutes early.
Well, I'm 5 minutes late, so maybe that'll sort of balance it out. So what happened this time? Did you get a call? Did you get an email?
Nothing. I clicked on notifications, and it was in there, but there was no pop-up box that tells me I'm invited to a call.
Interesting. Yeah. From what I've read, because when you add the Law of Attraction Montreal to your Google Circles, you do that by pressing the red button that's on that side if you're on Google Plus page. We get a notification. We add you to a list that gets invited to the show. But once the list goes above 25 people, what happens is that there's a silent invitation sent out, a quiet invitation, and it no longer sort of rings your your Google Hangouts. It, I guess, shows it in your notifications. So just look out for that if you're trying to get onto the show.
Yeah, and I think that like eventually in 2 years it's going to be very stable, and Google's going to really find out how it works. But right now they're kind of experimenting. Like every 2-3 months, I think they come up with a new feature and redesign everything. So it's just getting used to their creativity and their innovation.
That's exactly right. I consider myself, in terms of technology, what's called an early adopter. So if you think about any technology, if you think about any product or service that has been put out into the market, you know, there's like this bell curve of adoption, right? You have if I can do a bell curve. That's the bell curve. If you can see it, no, you can't see it because the light is flashing there. That's right. And what happens is that with any new technology or product or service, you'll always have about 10%, 10 to 15% of people who just sort of adopt it. They want to use it, bugs and all, you know. Then you have another 10 to 15% that say, you know, I'm not even going to touch it. I won't use Google Hangouts unless I'm forced to. And then you have everybody in between. And I consider myself an early adopter. So I'm used to having bugs and problems with technology because I'm always looking to try the new thing. And I'm glad that people like you, Dimitri, are interested in sort of experimenting here too. And it'll probably be funny to look in 2 years to look back at the earlier episodes of The Appreciationist to see what the technology was like, considering what they're probably going to be adding. But I agree with you. I don't think it's their focus right now. I mean, they're focusing on other things. It's maybe a side project for them, and they're not really giving it full of attention. But you know what? Let's see how it goes, right?
Well, that's the new thing that I've noticed, like Apple started, which is really care about the quality of the product rather than the continuity of the product, because a lot of times clients can adapt as long as you have the best product out there. So 1 month you do it one way, and then don't worry about it, just change it next month, and people will adapt to it. And this limits, because before it used to be the Microsoft strategy, which is keep everything consistent and the same. And that worked in the 80s, 90s, but now life has evolved where you could go out there and change as much as you can. People will adapt, and they just want the best product.
That's right. You're echoing the same remarks that I heard from Tim Cook. I was watching an interview with him today with Charlie Rose, and he talks. He's the new Tim Cook replaced Steve Jobs at Apple. He's the new head there, and they're asked, are you trying to, when the iPhone came out, it wasn't the first smartphone. When the iPod came out, it wasn't the first music device. When the tablet came out, the iPad came out, it wasn't the first tablet. And so really, Charlie Rose came upon this. He said, it doesn't look like you're trying to be first. It looks like you're just trying to be the best at what you're doing. And that's sort of the philosophy I think that Apple had. Work on it until it's solid enough and then put something out. You can update it after the fact and make sure it's solid when it goes out. Whereas Google, for many examples, they just sort of put something out and work on it as time goes by.
This was true with Steve Jobs because he had the creativity. With Tim Cook, he's trying to be creative, but he's a follower. So it's like he's kind of in between. He can't, now they're coming up with the 5-inch phone, 5.5, 5.4-inch iPhone.
Finally, yeah.
It's too late, and they're not giving something more creative, better. They're just keeping up with the standard that's out there.
Well, they're coming out with Apple Pay, which is trying to do away with the wallet, and then the Apple Watch, which is trying to enter that market. We'll see how that goes, right? The Apple TV didn't go so well, and there are other things. So we'll see how it goes. Tim Cook, you're right. In the interview with Charlie Rose, he admits to, they asked him, can you fill Steve Jobs' shoes? Are you a visionary like he is? And he said, no, he's not. He really isn't. And Steve Jobs, I think, knew that about him to begin with. So I think it really is up to us, maybe as users, as consumers, to really insist on the vision, insist on that creativity. Maybe by not buying the product at first blush.
Yeah, but the difference between Tim Cook and Steve Jobs is like 5%. It's like when a tablet came out before Apple had their tablet, but then when Steve Jobs came up with his tablet, it was very similar to the iPhone. It was small tweaks, but it was like that 5% difference that made it take off. So the difference between being great and being above average, I don't think Tim Cook is below average. I think he's above average, but he's not a genius. It's like 5%. It's not that much.
That's right. It's incredible the way that works. What's his name? Malcolm Gladwell spends a lot of time trying to remark about genius and expertise and what makes people good. And I guess maybe that sort of difference between the 5%, like what that X factor, that it element to creativity, to genius. I don't know what it is. Some people argue whether or not Steve had it or not. I just know that. But I just know that the future there will always be another Steve Jobs. There will always be someone else. And if it's not Tim Cook, then we'll just have to find somebody else. It might be some 16-year-old making something in his dorm room right now. Who knows? Well, not a 16-year-old in his dorm room, but a college student.
That's what makes life interesting.
If you allow me just one quick moment, I think some people are messaging.
Hey, Betty.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great.
How are you? How was your week?
Was good. I started jogging.
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 Oh, jogging. Nice. You jog 3 times a week?
Well, this week I did twice. I think probably twice a week is enough.
Yeah. Do you just jog, or do you have like a heart monitor? My friend has a heart monitor. He monitors how much his heart rate is going when he's jogging, and he needs to have it a certain amount, a certain beat per second, or you just go out there and jog.
Well, I just started, so I jog until I feel really tired, and then I walk a little.
Okay.
And then I keep on jogging. So.
It's the same thing. It's not a big difference.
Yeah, but I do bring my music. I listen to my music when I was jogging.
Nice. Get in shape.
And it's getting cold. It's going to be a lot of rainy days ahead.
Yeah, it's good to jog when it's cold. It makes you run faster.
Oh, okay.
You can also jog at 2 a.m. In a bad part of town. That'll make you jog faster, I think. Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm posting the links to the apps and stuff that I'm talking about today on our Google Plus page, because I don't usually do that. And don't break. While we were outside, we had a Happy for a Change fundraiser event. Beatty was there. We were outside on the mountain, and after it was over, a lady came up to us. She was volunteering for the People's Climate March. So there's a People's Climate March this Sunday coming up, and supposedly there's this organization out there called Avaz, and they have something like 30 million volunteers that sort of collaborate with organizations. I never heard about it, so I want to share it with you guys here today.
Nice. You find all this cool stuff to share with us.
Well, you know, sometimes it finds me. This lady walked right up to us and handed us this flyer, and we told her, "Hey, we've got a flyer for you too." So,
well, you attract all this stuff.
That's right. So don't break the chain. You guys believe in global warming?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I think at the same time we're doing a lot of stuff and things are slowly changing.
I get that. So let me... Need of that. That's right. I decided to give for our segment what a great idea. I actually have 3 things that I want to provide you guys today. I've been thinking about because there's so many things I run across, and just being able to give one a week might be too limited. So I decided maybe something else will do. So we'll have 3 cool things for you guys here today. Hopefully you'll know about it. You won't know about it, sorry, but there we go. So who wants to go first with the introductions and the moment of appreciation?
I'll go first.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. You guys have a moment of appreciation to share today?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Unfortunately, Valerie couldn't be with us today. She's, the stuff she's dealing with. So, our hearts and minds go out to her, our well wishes. I'll be saying that in the show coming up. I just want to let you guys know Valerie won't be here with us today. We'll be missing her.
Okay. Is everything okay with her?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're about ready to start. Get my notes. Okay, anything for us to remember before we start?
Say that again?
Anything else to remember? Are we all? Can everybody hear me clearly? Is there any noise, any static?
No, it's perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I was having a little connection issues today. I haven't had it for the past 2 hours or so, so hopefully everything will go well. If it doesn't, I apologize in advance, but there we have it. Okay. Let's start the show. Oh, by the way, today we're talking about determination and intention setting. Okay? So how to sort of make a determination, how to make a decision, and or all about that process. And then intention setting, because it's a topic that's really dear and close to my heart. It's really what I feel is something that's worth talking about in our next session. So we'll be talking about determination and intention setting. Sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Lost my pencil already, didn't I? We'll pretend today. Hi, my name is Peter Hartman, and you're watching The Appreciationist. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight's show we'll be talking about determination and intention setting. So it's all about decision making. It's all about, well, deeper than decision making. We want to really get to the heart of what it really makes to make a determination, what it really means to use your intention. So we'll be talking about that later in the show. But first, let's introduce our wonderful guests in the room. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Who's first?
Hi, I'm Dimitri, and I've been studying law of attraction the last 3 years. And what really impresses me is every week I learn something new. And now I'm learning how to attract new information on law of attraction and everything. So a lot of times when I don't know the answer, I just pretend law of attraction is a person. And I say, I want to learn in detail this, this, and this. And I let it go. And guess what? Slowly, not all at once, slowly answers comes. And that's what I love about law of attraction. It's so easy, but very powerful.
That's right. That's wonderful. I really love that aspect that you can sort of just speak. You know, people think about the law of attraction in terms of getting stuff in order to acquire success, acquire money, whatever it is, get that girl. But it's fantastic and fabulous to sort of ask a question that you don't answer to, and then actually seeing that answer manifest in your life, either by a friend, something that you read, something that you listen to, maybe even something that you've listened to before in the past that's just triggering something new to you. So by putting yourself in that frame of mind that you can receive, incredible things can happen. And actually, you make a very good point. One good way to sort of test out the law of attraction, to sort of experience it for yourself in a simple way, is to ask for something that you don't really have that this built-up negative expectation about, right? You ask a question that, you know, is simple. You know, how do I do X? How do I do Y? It's just something very simple, and then watch how that answer comes to you, and it sort of builds up this expectation that, hey, maybe I can sort of commune with whatever is going on. Very cool. Dimitri, thank you very much for joining us. Really happy to have you here one more time. Who's our other friend?
Hi everyone, my name is Beatty. I haven't really studied in details the law of attraction. I watched the movie, and that's the beginning. I find the concept very easy to understand, and I find myself, I can see myself following it and achieving things. So that's how I started buying. And I totally agree that you can attract information. What happened to me lately is I have a whole lot of questions, mostly because I find at this stage of my life right now, I feel a little bit stuck. So it's like I cannot see myself growing, but I need to because it's boring and there has to be something new in my life to feel more energized. So I started asking myself a lot of questions like, how do I get rid of the fear? Or how do I make more new friends? And as I ask myself those questions every day, and actually I figured out different ways of doing it. For example, I was reading Facebook, and all of a sudden one day I noticed there was a website called Psych Central, and they have a lot of posting regarding stress or communication. There's a lot of interesting topics there, so it kind of answered my questions, especially about the fear. So the answer was actually simple, just to repeat those things you fear about, practice, and finally you get over it. So lately what I've been doing was...
Very good. I like that. It really is about
Oh,
Hello?
yeah,
Betty,
you to where you want to go.
Peter, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Dimitri. Yes.
Okay, because I lost you for a minute.
Okay. Your microphone seems to be going on mute and off mute. Oh.
Yeah, it's okay now.
We just lost Beatty. I wonder if my connection is to blame. So we'll just wait a second. Is it just me, or did everybody lose Beatty?
Well, yeah, I lost her too.
Okay, cool. So we'll just wait 1 second. I'm sure she'll come back. She said a website. I want to get that down. But what she was saying is true, right? And it ties into what you were saying. I really like this idea that, you're asking questions. I always know people are on a fun path when they're telling me their head is filled with questions. They're wondering. Those people are always more fun to talk to than the people who are just sure about everything, where there's no wiggle room, there's no sort of doubt, there's no questioning, there's no movement. So one thing I'd like to communicate to people is when you're finding in yourself that you have all these questions, don't feel like something is wrong. Don't feel like you're off. Don't feel like you're doing something out of place. Those questions are the beginning of your movement. They're the bubbling up. It's the stimulation that moves you forward. And so I fell in love with questions a long time ago, and I really want to spread that message of love for questions again. Beatty's back with us. I just want to let you know, Beatty, just if you can, yeah, indeed, we lost you for a second there. I don't know, are you able to turn up your volume on your microphone just a bit, or speak closer to the microphone?
Okay.
Awesome. What was the website that you mentioned that you saw?
It's Psych Central.
Psych Central. I don't know, maybe you can post that for us on the meetup?
Sure.
Thanks, I would appreciate that. It's always good to check that out. I know, Dimitri, you've been posting a couple of videos there. I watched the first one. It was really cool. I want to share it on our Facebook page. I want to share it on our Google Plus page because that's really wonderful. So if you guys ever have cool links that you want to share with us, like these two people are doing, please feel free to send that over, and we'll share that on our networks.
Sorry,
go ahead.
The one I posted yesterday is really, really special. It talks about one person, a teacher, inspiring a student to become a doctor. And it just got me wondering which people have inspired us. And it's something that you may want to do like a section in the future, an Appreciationist, in people talking about who inspired them in their lives. I think that's you kind of understand yourself better when you know who are the people who are inspiring you.
You know what? I love that idea. Beatty, what do you think about that idea?
I think the answer is everyone.
Yeah, ultimately be everyone. And I think the exercise, just like appreciation, the exercise is sitting down and trying to recognize how people have contributed to your life. It could be a teacher, it could be a stranger on the street. I mean, I know I've seen bus drivers who sing on the bus that have inspired me. You know what I mean? It's so when Baby's saying everyone, that's absolutely true. And the exercise of thinking about it might be really wonderful. So maybe we'll include that as a segment in the show. It could be either weekly or bi-monthly. But that's a very cool idea. Let me ask you guys real quickly, just before our moments of appreciation, or rather, within. Oh, you know what? I'm going to be adding in here too. So we'll just put that on a pause. But Baby, did I interrupt you? Did you want to say something?
Not at the moment.
Okay, cool. You guys ready for a moment of appreciation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a segment called Moment of Appreciation, and the most important part of this show, the reason it's called The Appreciationist, is because the art, the act, the exercise of appreciation is supremely powerful. It's wonderful, and I love the way it feels. It's not only recognizing the good qualities of a thing or of a person, it's also choosing to enjoy it, to have a feeling behind it, to have some emotional reaction to this recognition that you're experiencing. And so we take a moment out of the show, as long as we need to, and we recognize something good that's happened in the past week or so, the past few days. It could be something good that's happened that's easy to appreciate. It could be something that's not so good, but you can find a way to appreciate it, to see the value in it. And by exercising that, we become better appreciationers. I'm just inventing more words here today. So we're going to go in the order that we introduced ourselves, if you guys don't mind. First, our friend Dimitri, you have a moment of appreciation?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one this week. I like to appreciate my friend Nick. Last year, around this time, I went to him and I told him I have problems executing. I procrastinate a lot. And after we talked 20 minutes about it, we came up with an idea of every week I give him a to-do list, and he holds me responsible for that week to execute that to-do list. And it's been going well. There were certain times I had to take 2 or 3 weeks off and then got back into it. This summer, because I was juice fasting, I ended up taking 2 months off. And this Friday that just passed, we went for dinner and he sat me down. He goes, listen, it's time to start your to-do list. Sunday, I want you to create a to-do list and start working on it on Monday. And I agreed. I said yeah. And then Sunday he called me again to make sure that I was creating my to-do list, and by the end of the day, I had created my to-do list. And this week, Monday, Tuesday, I started executing. It's been very hard because I haven't done anything for 2 months. It's been very hard getting into it, but without his help, it would have taken me much longer to get into it. So I'd like to say thanks to Nick for, sometimes he just takes 10 seconds to look at my to-do list, and then he sends me a reply, good job, and that's it. But he's always there every week making sure that my to-do list is created and I'm executing it. So I want to say thanks to Nick for that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. That's really great. Thank you for sharing that, Dimitri. That's awesome. Having people in your life that support you, having people who you can really connect with is supremely valuable. I spent a lot of my time by myself, and it's recently that I'm really realizing the power of really connecting with others and having some other people on your side. So that's really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Just one more thing to say, that what surprised me is what I learned, the big lesson I learned is you have a lot of friends, and a lot of your friends want to help you, and all you need to do is just ask them and define. Like with my friend, I defined it for him. Every week I create a to-do list, I email it to him, and he just has to reply, good job, or looking forward to you completing it. That's it. And he holds me responsible every week. So, but it's incredible how easy people will get on to your bandwagon if you ask them. And a lot of times we don't do that. We think we want to do it on our own, and we don't think that our friends will help us, and we don't even think of asking them.
That's very cool. That's really wonderful. And you trigger something else in my mind. I'm the type of person who, if you ask me to do something, I'm likely to help you out. But I'd like to be the type of person who sort of regularly checks up on their connections, on their friends, and maybe ask them because they might not be comfortable or even aware that they can ask you something like that. So that's really wonderful. You're really awakening a lot of thoughts here, and you're making us think about some really cool things there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you're connected to for support. That comes straight from Dimitri. Thank you very much. Vedi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Moment of appreciation?
My moment of appreciation is I had a really, really good weekend last weekend. Some of my friends invited me for karaoke, and we had dinner together. And there was 2 people at the dinner. They were so funny, and I had like really, really good time. So it was like the first time probably in the past 5 years I laughed so hard. Felt like I needed it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Another story about friends that sort of surround you and help you out, uplift you, make you feel good, support you. Really wonderful. That's really good. Look, you guys, it seems like we have a general theme for our moments of appreciation, because mine really is about the people that I spent time with recently. So you guys know we've been putting on the Happy for a Change tour. We are raising funds for the campaign. We have an Indiegogo campaign. You can find the link down below this video. But what's cool about that is that we had a fundraiser event on Sunday. It was chilly outside, much colder than I thought. There was a cyclist Grand Prix thing happening right across the street, so most of the people weren't even on the mountain. They were on the street. But still, there were members of our group who came out and hung out with us and contributed to our Indiegogo campaign. Even 2 people who I haven't seen in a long time came and really contributed a good amount to our campaign. We were surprised by the contribution. So I felt, even in that cold, sitting on the mountain in my hoodies, trying to rub my fingers to keep them warm, I felt warm on the inside. I felt this overwhelming warmth of connection to these people who are making every effort to reach out and connect with me far and beyond.
Guess we lost him.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
the second time he froze. Eva, can you hear us?
Okay, I thought it was
Movie on my watch list called I Am Legend with Will Smith. fighting the zombie apocalypse by himself.
Peter,
Yeah.
you froze for a good 10 seconds.
Okay.
I'm not sure if people who are watching the video saw you or saw the frozen part, but Betty and I saw you frozen for 10 seconds.
Understood. Thanks for that. So I just want to, the theme today really seems about, for our moments of appreciation, really seem that it goes hand in hand with the people who are in our lives, the people that help support us in times of trouble and in times of joy. And I was really happy to feel that connection, and I think you guys felt that connection with the people that you're talking about there too. So really wonderful. Great moment of appreciation. Thank you guys so much for sharing.
Thank you.
If I freeze again, please let me know. That was really wonderful. Thank you for looking out for me. You mentioned something about, just before the joke of the week, which I really love, you mentioned something about a to-do list. So I think now might actually be an opportune time to talk about what a great idea. So we have these 3 things to show you. One of them is an app that really goes towards what you're saying. And I think we'll switch it around and do the joke after that. How do you guys feel about that? We'll leave the joke for after the segment?
Yeah.
Cool. Betty?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So what a great idea. So we have 3 ideas to give you. The first one is called Don't Break the Chain. Simple app. It's very simple. It's a calendar app, and all it does, like when you have a calendar and you mark off X on the calendar to track your progress with something? Well, this is a digital way of doing it. This app allows you to mark X's on this calendar, and it keeps track of whatever you're trying to do, and it gives you statistics, right? It keeps track with metrics. It shows you how well you kept this chain going. And what it does is that it reminds you every day to do this element, to do this thing, to keep your chain going. You don't want to break the chain. You don't want to break the chain. You want to keep it going. And so instead of using a paper and marking it on the calendar, here's an app that you can use on your device. It's on iOS. I believe it's also on Android. And it will allow you to do that very simply, and it will remind you to do it. All I did was install the app. I didn't even really use the app because I don't need something like that. But just installing the app, it's still asking me on a daily basis if I'm keeping up with my chain, if I have something to do. And I like that. Even though I don't use the app, I still keep those notifications on there because I like that it reminds me every day. Are you keeping up with what you wanted to keep up? Are you keeping up with what you wanted to keep up? And sometimes just that reminder alone can really cut through the fog. So you can find that below on the description here on Google Plus or on our YouTube page. You can also find that at the end of the show on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Law of Attraction Montreal. The second app I want to tell you guys about, in case you guys don't know about it, did you guys know Meetup has a Meetup app?
Yes.
Yeah, it says on the page.
Yeah, use it.
Say that again, baby.
I think it says that on the Meetup page if I go in by my computer.
Okay, wonderful. I just wanted those of you who are watching, those who might be watching later, that there is a Meetup app. If you really love the Meetup site, you want to download the app because you can really interact with the Meetup in a sort of live session. If you have pictures you want to take during the session, you can do that right there and upload it to the Meetup. You can check into the Meetup, let people know that you're there. You can get the comments and activity going, so you're never out of the loop. So if you want to check that out, check out the Meetup app. I always wondered if people knew about that, and I'm glad that you guys do. The third thing I want to tell you guys about is an organization called, let me just bring that up here, People's Climate March in Montreal. They're having an event this Sunday, September 21st. I got this after a fundraiser in the park. We got this little pamphlet. You'll find it also on the link below here and our Facebook page after the show. People's Climate March. You'll find a lot of links on McGill, on the news. They're getting people together to have this march across Montreal to raise awareness for climate change. So if you're interested in that at all, if you like that subject at all, definitely want to check that out. The person I ran into works for a company called Avaaz, an organization rather called Avaaz, A-V-A-A-Z. And from what I understand, they have 30 million volunteers who sort of volunteer for all kinds of things, right? If you have something you want people to volunteer for, you can connect with them. Incredible organization out there. We're going to be talking more about them. Hopefully get connected with them directly. So don't break the chain. Check out that app if you want to stop marking off X's on your physical calendar. You want to do that on a nice digital calendar. You can check that out. Meetup app and the People's Climate March. This Sunday, 21st. That's in Montreal. Cool.
And what is the website for people who volunteer for other causes?
So I'm told so I'll get you the website. The company's called, the organization is called Avaaz, A-V-A-A-Z, and you can find that at avaaz.org. I'll be posting that down below. You know what? I'll do that right now so you guys have it.
Okay, thanks.
A-V-A-A-Z. Vote. Oops, that's not at all the link. It's supposed to post.
Another name, that's good enough. I can.
Okay, cool. Well, it's there now, so it's on the page for anybody who wants to check it out. Perfect. Are you guys ready for the joke of the week?
Yeah.
Hold on, hold on.
Oh, yes. Indeed, wonderful. The joke of the week. Here we go. So we're choosing between, let me make sure I get my words right. Peace, which was left over from last week, and expand. Peace and expand.
Expand.
Expand. One for expand?
Okay, I'll go with expand too.
I sense that there might have been disagreement there, but I think Beatty's opting for cohesion instead of disorder. So expand it is. Expand. If you guys want to know what the peace joke is, it's left over from last week. It's the second week. You can tune in next week and vote for it. If you don't want to be on the show and vote, you can just send us a message, post online, post in the comments. I want peace. I want peace, and we'll read it on the show. But for now, the winner is expand, and here is the joke. Here we go. Okay, so are you guys familiar with the Christian tradition of praying for your food before you eat it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it's not going to come out of left field. Here we go. Everyone was seated around the table as the food was being served. When little Johnny received his plate, he started eating right away. "Johnny, wait until we say our prayer," his mother reminded him. "I don't have to," the little boy replied. "Of course you do," his mother insisted. "We say a prayer before eating at our house." "That's at our house," Johnny explained. "But this is Grandma's house, and she knows how to cook." I'm never going to get tired of that. That's hilarious. Oh, what did you guys think of that joke?
Yeah, it was good. It was funny.
I think Beatty died of laughter. Or not. Maybe not. Okay, well, there's the joke. I thought it was fun. I grew up in a Christian home. I never heard a joke like that joke specifically before, so I wanted to share it with you guys. If you didn't think that was funny, well, you picked the word. That's kind of why we give you the choice. You know, I realized if I gave you the choice, you're kind of in the muck with me. And so here we go. Next week, peace. I promise you, it's a better joke. Beatty was right. It's way funnier, and you should definitely come back next week and vote for that. Maybe Beatty will answer first next week, and Dimitri will feel forced to comply with her word. But you guys did great. Thank you very much. So now we're moving on to the topic of discussion here today, which is determination and intention setting. Determination and intention setting. So we've talked about decision making before. Decisions are really about this habit that you form. A decision is not made in the moment. It's a decision that you take over time. But I wanted to get deeper into the subject of decision making because I meet a lot of people who feel like they're making a decision, but I don't believe they actually are, right? So there's a difference between really wanting something and making a decision, and there's a difference between making a decision based on emotion and making a decision in collaboration with your emotions and your mind. So let's say you are you're on a diet and you eat a piece of chocolate cake, and you're eating the piece of chocolate cake and you have this terrible feeling saying, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this. And so there you proclaim a decision. I am no longer going to eat chocolate cake anymore. I am no longer going to do this. But then your guilty feeling sort of subsides, and you're feeling okay from now on. And now you want something to make you feel a little bit better, and now that chocolate cake is looking appealing again. And so when your decision is housed only in that sentiment that you're feeling, and that's in that moment that it spikes within you, then when that feeling goes away, the strength behind your decision goes away too. And so that's why you want to work in collaboration with your mind. You want your decision to not only exist in your heart in that sort of strong feeling place, but you want it to exist intellectually. You want the decision you're making to make sense to you. Okay? Do you guys understand what I'm saying so far? The difference between making an emotional choice, I'm not going to call him back anymore, and actually making a choice that is a union between your mind, your thoughts, and your heart?
Yeah. Oh, Peter, you froze again.
Yeah. He looks very peaceful right now.
Yeah, he looks like he's meditating. That's funny. I guess he made a decision to freeze.
I froze, huh?
Well,
Okay.
the way we saw it is you made a decision to freeze.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Have you guys ever experienced that? So I sort of feel like there are two decisions in my life. Sometimes I make a decision when I have this strong feeling, and there are other times I make a decision and it's just in my mind. But the decisions that work the best for me are the decisions that work in union and in concert with my mind and my heart. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with what you're saying. It's just I'm used to using different terms. Like I'm used to using, you could be emotional, and emotional can be very ego, and then you can be thinking from the heart, and still an emotional response, but it's not ego-based.
Hmm. I understand. So yeah, I do agree. Once I was trying to come up with the terminology for this, I knew I would come into some conflict with the words because I think the sentiment is the same, but the words might be confusing. So maybe I'll just tell you this. So you guys know the difference between emotions and a feeling, right? We've talked about this on the show. Have you guys know about the difference between emotion and feeling?
Yeah.
Emotions is that sort of biological experience that you're having, but the feeling is your sort of pondering, your reflection, your interpretation of that emotional reaction. So your feelings is kind of this union between your thoughts and the emotion that's going on within you. So maybe feeling is a better word. So sometimes I make decisions that are emotional, that don't really involve much thought. I just go, I don't like this, I hate this, or I want more of this. And I can almost tell that I'm never going to keep up with that because once the emotion goes away, my thoughts will turn to something else. And then there are some decisions that I know intellectually I should do, but I won't do them because there's no umph behind them. There's no emotion behind them. And so when I'm trying to make a decision, I try and have a visceral response to the thoughts that I'm thinking, so feeling, but I'm also trying to be sort of logical about it. I try to make sense of it so that, for example, I believe following your passion is the best thing that anybody can do. And in fact, I think it's kind of crazy to live your life any other way. It doesn't make any sense to me to live your life in any other way. And when I remind myself of not only how it feels to live with passion, but also how logical it is to live with passion, I can't help but make this decision. And so the decision is almost made for me. I can wake up in the morning and not feel like living my passion, but still in my heart of hearts and in my mind, it makes the most sense. So I want to ask you guys, like the decisions that you want to make in your life. It could be a decision that says, I want to care more about what I think than what other people think. It could be a decision that says, I'm going to wake up every day and take one step in the direction of my dreams. It could be whatever decision you're making. And sometimes I see people making that sort of affirmation from a place of emotion, but I'm not so sure it'll stay there in the times when they're not feeling that emotion, where they're not high on life, or they're not feeling that excitement. And what I want to do is convince people to, as you have that emotion, that visceral response to the thoughts that you're thinking, and then that interpretation, which is your feeling, to sort of sit with it and think about it logically, which is a little harder to do. Think about it logically and ask yourself, does this make sense? Should I quit my job? You know what I mean? I hate my job. I never want to go back there, but is it logical that I should quit right away, or should I do something else? You know what I mean? I have this feeling, I get this spike that says, I'm going to be a vegetarian. I'm going to be a vegetarian from now on. Then I think to myself, in my more sober moments, I'm not likely to keep that promise to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you guys ever experience decisions like that, or am I out in the field?
Well, it's a lot of in-between moments. Like for me, making a decision, it used to be for my parents. It used to be, oh, what would I do to please them? What would make them happier? And if they are happier, then I will be happier. That was past. And now, like, I struggle to focus on myself because, like you said, only do what I'm passionate about makes more sense. It's true. So that's what I'm gonna do. But still, in that terms, there's also, do I go with my feeling or do I go with what I know, like what it should be the optimum, shortest way to get to my goal? So it's kind of hard to say, but I think whatever decision I'm gonna make, it is gonna be a learning process. Either I'm right, or I would probably found myself a very difficult way, but then I will have to learn.
Very good. I like that. I like that. I can tell you this, from my own personal experience, I've made decisions in my life that were purely intellectual or mostly intellectual, and I've made decisions in my life that have been mostly emotional. And they, better or worse, they often fall flat. And the only decisions in my life that really have held the water, that really have sustained me and mattered, have contributed more efficiently to my life, because any decision that you make, emotional or intellectual, will lead you to a platform, will help you to grow. But the decisions that I made that have been the most efficient and the best decisions of my life have always been this collaboration, the union between mind and heart. It's always been this sort of unification between what makes sense in my mind and also what makes sense in my heart. It's interesting because there's this conversation that happens where if you create that union, your heart can actually convince your mind that it is flawed in some way, or vice versa. Your mind can convince your heart that it's flawed in some way. And that sort of internal dialogue, it helps you, right? There are a lot of times I hear my mother, she gives me this advice that I think, oh man, that must be, I don't see it that way at all. I don't agree with that at all. But I still take her advice and I practice it and I try to experiment with it, because there's something about having a different perspective, even though it seems completely different than what you think, that is valuable. And then the same happens when you're working with your mind and your heart. Sometimes you don't want to listen to what your mind is saying. It seems like it contradicts what your heart really wants. But sometimes listening to that will lead you to a more efficient path. You know, maybe you don't have to quit your job to pursue your dreams. Maybe you can find something new in your job or transform your job. Maybe you don't have to go with the nuclear option. Maybe you can go with something smaller, or vice versa. Maybe sometimes the small steps are not the way you want to go. Maybe you are the type of person who needs to take the big leap, that needs to jump, that really needs to get outside of your comfort zone. But how will you ever know that unless you have that sort of dialogue between the mind and the heart? I'm sorry. If you guys have something to add to that?
I have questions.
Okay. So Beatty has questions. Just one moment for the questions. Dimitri, you had a statement?
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with what you're saying. And the thing is, what I do is you have to distinguish between passion and fear. Okay, a lot of times you have a desire, but it's based on fear. So the whole idea is by asking, why am I doing this? Okay, if it's because someone else told me, if it's because I want to show off, if it's because I have if it's something that's not related to I just love to do it, then it's probably fear-based. Okay, and once that happens, you have two choices. Sometimes the fear is so much that you still have to go on with that fear. You have to still entertain that fear. You're not ready to let go of that fear. But just acknowledge it. Acknowledging it makes it weaker. So then you just continue going, you observe, and one day you'll reach the point where you will be able to say, okay, I want to go in this direction, but it's fear-based. I'm not going to take that direction. I'm going to take my passion. Okay. So the whole idea is to talk to yourself and ask questions. Ask, why am I doing it? And when you're ready, you'll be able to change and go in the direction of your passion, of your real passion.
Those are excellent points you're making there. That's absolutely right, and that's part of what I talk about. What I mean when I say to use your mind. Your mind is where your intellectual self is, where you can ask those questions. You know, am I being Am I running away from something as opposed to running towards something? Am I trying to avoid something that I perceive might be harmful as opposed to reaching for something that I believe might be wholesome? Questioning why, asking yourself why. Those are questions that come from the mind, and we have all had this experience where I think we've all had this experience where you, for example, you say an affirmation, but your mind says, oh, you don't really believe that, that's a lie. And there are some people who ignore that and they just keep saying the affirmation. But then there are others who recognize that they don't believe that, and they find an affirmation that is more believable to them, that is more relatable to them, that connects them more to this possibility if I can. And that's where we see the questioning mind, the intellectual mind, the analysis, the evaluations that can come in from the mind are complementary to the heart.
Yes, but what you're doing is you're not using your mind to come up with a direction. You're using your mind to question your heart. Okay, and that's different from using your mind to just come up with a direction to move forward. See, that is egocentric. But if you just use your mind to question your heart, to find what your heart wants, oh, Peter, we lost you again. I don't know if you can hear me.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
If you're watching this and you're seeing me, thank you for being so patient. Show's at 7:42 right now. Show's supposed to be over. I hear you guys are watching me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. Okay, I was gone, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's one of those days. Sorry, Dimitri, you were saying?
I was just saying that when you think with the mind and you ask questions for the heart, you're asking questions to the heart. So the decision is really the heart making the decision. The mind is just asking questions, as opposed to the mind making a decision where you exclude the heart and you say, you know something, I want to do this, or I want to do this, without asking what the heart wants.
I agree. I really do believe that the decision making really happens in the heart, happens with your feelings. Because with your intellectual mind, there's no way you can go over all of the details of what you're experiencing, but your intuition, your heart, has an overview that might provide you with more information than even what you can come up with critically with your mind. So that's really wonderful. I know, Baby, you had some questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I was actually thinking, it would be very nice to synchronize your mind with your heart, and then you have a very, very good decision. I was going to ask you, how do you do the synchronize? And now seems like Dimitri has sort of answered that.
Yeah, if I had to summarize it in one word, I would say awareness, right? Once you become, instead of trying to do something, just become aware of what you're already doing. Become aware of the discordance in your thoughts and your heart. Just become aware of what you're thinking and how you're making your decisions. And then when you can, sit down and reflect on yourself, like, why is it that I did this? Why is it that I did that? Or why do I want to do this? You know, you're just sort of exploring yourself to create awareness. And as you're creating that awareness, I believe the syncing is a byproduct of that. But Dimitri, what do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly, I agree with you. Also, you want to be nice to yourself. You want to go at a pace you're comfortable with, because you can go really fast and you're going to feel a lot of pain. It's not worth it. And then you're not going to want to listen to your heart. So you create that awareness, and that awareness slowly removes the fear. But at the same time, you just want to go at the pace your mind and your heart is comfortable with. And that means being nice to yourself.
That's
I
very
think
good.
that's someone new in our group right now.
Yes, it looks like we have somebody else who's joined the room. Let's just make sure he's joined on purpose. That's happened before. So we have bonjour, Bertrand. Thank you very much for joining us, Bertrand. So we can't hear you, but we can see your beautiful picture and see your chats on the your chat messages on the side. So we're seeing his messages. If you click on the chat icon, those of us who are in the room, you'll see his messages there. But those who are out there can't see it. So he said bonjour, oui monsieur, so he can hear us very well. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to, we can see that your microphone is on mute. So if you want to unmute that, otherwise you can just sit down and relax with us. Dimitri is saying something very cool there. And so let's just recap that. Awareness, and then you don't want to go faster than what is comfortable. You want to allow yourself.
Well, it depends on the person. If the person is very aggressive in life and they start doing inner work, they take that aggression in towards themselves, so they end up going too fast. You want to really go at a pace you're comfortable with. Never do anything you're not comfortable, even if it's like you realize, for example, Betty, you're listening to your parents. You may not be comfortable right now not to listen to your parents. So just acknowledge you're listening to your parents and just leave it at that. Acknowledging it slowly starts removing the fear. But it might take a while. It might take 3-4 months before you're comfortable to say, okay, now I go my direction. So you just want to go out at your own pace.
I like that. And a part of what you're saying there, there's this intrinsic sort of assumption that you have. There's this assumption that you have that if you go at your own pace, ultimately you'll sync yourself. Like you will be synced up. I think it's our natural state to be in this sync state, and I think you have to make effort to be out of sync. And so I like to tell people, well, for example, don't try and think positive thoughts, and don't try to get in sync, and don't try to be a better person, and don't try to change the world. Don't try in that sense. Just do what comes naturally to you, and assume, for your own sake, just assume that whatever you do will lead you to where you want to be. It will at least get you closer to where you want to be, because judging yourself, feeling guilty, regret, resentfulness, or feeling like you should do something, feeling this sort of responsibility, this culpability, this duty to be a better person, that can sort of weigh you down. But when you can appreciate the fact that there's nothing wrong with, for example, listening to your parents, there's nothing wrong with eating food that's bad for you. Now, there are nocive effects, but ultimately there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you recognize what you're doing, you'll be able to move on to something else. And you know, in AA, the first step towards their treatment is to recognize that they have to just sit down and recognize I have a problem. Just recognize what's going on. And what you said there is so powerful, Dimitri. In the acknowledgement of whatever it is you're looking at, it becomes weaker. In the acknowledgement of your lackfulness, your disempowerment, your fear, whatever it is, in the acknowledgement, when you're facing it, it actually becomes weaker. Not weaker in the sense that it no longer matters, but because you become stronger. You become someone who is willing to engage with the very thing that you've been running away from. And from that relative state, it becomes weaker as you become stronger. So the first thing, what I really want to give you, Bede, is this expectation that nothing you can do, as long as you persist with what you're doing, nothing you can do can deviate you, and you will almost certainly reach your goal, right? And if you wake up with that sort of expectation that nothing you can do can separate you from your goal as long as you keep chugging along, then how much easier does it become to wake up and make a decision or to renew a decision, right? How much more fun does it become to expect for the future when you have an assumption that says, of course, things must work out. Like, I've heard you maybe talking for a short amount of time, for these weeks, for these months, and I just know a year from now you will be stronger, you will be different, you will have shed the shackles of what you've experienced before. And the truth is, you will have adopted new shackles, right? We all do that. We move from one platform of existence to something else. But that's the fun, right? The fun in life is acknowledging, recognizing, becoming aware of those things you want to change, and then spend all of your time and energy trying to work that into place in terms of fun, in terms of something worth doing, as opposed to something that you're trying that must be done, you know, that you're forcing. But I know, Bede, you had more to say.
I really like what you said. Yeah, I think it's very uplifting. That's what I need to hear. Yeah, that's good.
That's right, this expectation. Dimitri?
I really like what you said about don't try to be a good person. Because a lot of times when you try to be a good person, it's because when you were young, your parents told you you have to be a good person. So you're doing it out of fear. And that is one of the key things in people who are very religious. They try to be too religious, and it actually has a backward effect. It actually, they don't go close to God, they go away from God. Because you can't do things because this is what I should do. You gotta remove the fear, and then it just happens. Nothing is forced. And that what you said is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Never be try to be a good person. Just let it happen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really, once you uh, become aware of the power of your own thoughts and you start becoming more positive and you're making these efforts and you are sort of short-circuiting the habit of behavior that you had in the past. It's actually very easy, and I see it all the time. People just take their bad habits from one field of their life and they move it to a new field of their life with a new vocabulary, with a new thing there. So often what I'll hear, for example, is people will tell me, I'm being positive, I'm being very positive, but everyone around me is being negative. And I want to tell them, the only reason you're able to see their negativity is because on some level you're matching that. You are aware of them because because it's remarking on something within yourself. And so I believe truly those people who are enlightened, those people who become more positive, they actually look at the world and see everything as beautiful. Not everything beautiful, it's not changing, but beautiful because everything is in this continuous state of improving. And so I don't want you to say, so I was talking to this guy, this really wonderful guy, he was really nice. He came to our meetups many times, and he said, now that I'm enlightened, now that I'm aware, I sit down and I'm upset. I regret all of the times that I was asleep. And I said, you're using your now time to regret all of the time that you were asleep? There's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with you being asleep, and there's nothing wrong with you being enlightened now. And so let's move on to the business.
Oh, we lost him again. But it's so true what he's saying, that I find that when you're trying to create awareness, a lot of times you judge yourself.
I'm back.
Oh, hey, welcome back.
So I talked to myself for a little while. I think the universe is trying to tell me to, zip it up. So maybe I'll take that hint.
I just have a final thought.
Yeah.
To close what you're saying. Basically, it's so true what you're saying. When you are creating awareness, all of a sudden, if you haven't truly accepted yourself, you start judging yourself, you start judging other people. So and a lot of times that prevents you from creating more awareness. So to go inside and look, the first step is self-acceptance. Everything is perfect. Everything, the world itself is perfect. Nothing's wrong with the world. All the people who rob, doesn't matter. Everything is perfect. You need bad to become good. So everything is perfect. And once you realize that, then you're able to create awareness and go inside of you. But if you can't accept yourself, you can't go inside of you.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so I just want to say, Bailey, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I find from a female perspective, what you guys said is probably a little bit different, because what I grow up hearing my parents say, oh, there are so many things can go wrong, there are so many bad people in this world, you're not supposed to do so many things. So for me, I have to be always in control, otherwise it feels like something wrong, something bad will happen. So it's this kind of fear really controlled me.
That makes sense. I completely understand that. So here's the hard part, and maybe you guys will disagree with me, but just hear me out. First of all, everything that anybody says is absolutely true. Okay, it's true. It's true from their perspective. It is true that there are bad things in the world. There is true that things can happen to you, and it is true that you want to control things. It is true, all these things. There's something else that's also true. You will never be able to avoid all bad things. No matter what you do, of course, things will happen to you. It'll just be a different set than what you've prepared for, so something will always happen. And if you spend all of your time in the world trying to avoid negative things, I hope I'm moving a little slowly, so I hope people can see me. But if you spend all of your time trying to avoid things to make sure that nothing bad happens to you, first of all, you spend your whole life doing it, and you won't succeed because, of course, things will happen. So just logically, you can think to yourself, yes, of course, the things that people are warning me about, of course, they're true. But there's other things that are true too. What's true is worrying about all those things all of the time doesn't help you. Worrying about those things all the time and being concerned with it doesn't lead to a happy life. And there's a certain type of ignorance or this willingness to ignore certain aspects of life that are required in order for you to live the life that you're wanting. You hear a lot of successful people talking about the sort of naivety that is required to be an entrepreneur, the naivety that requires to the irrational optimism that is required in order to pursue a dream or to go forward, because clearly there is 100, there is 1,000, there's an innumerable amount of reasons that you can find to not do what you want to do, to not live the life that you want to live. But there's only one reason that I find to do something, and that's because your heart compels you to do it. And whatever the reasons are, I think it's better to follow your heart and to fail than to not follow your heart and to live a safe life. But this, I just want to say this as final words for you guys, just in case you missed it before. I tried to live my life for the longest time since I was a young kid. All I wanted in life was to die happy. I wanted to die without regrets. I wanted to die a happy guy. And as I ran through simulations of my death and simulations of how I might feel and what I might say and what I might do, I realized I could never, ever do enough that I would die and feel like there was nothing more that I could do. I would never die with everything being complete and finished. And if I could reach to that point where everything I wanted was satisfied, I think I would cry. I don't think I would like that. And so I realized the world is wonderful because the world is always in a continuous state of improvement. And I am wonderful and perfect because I am not done. I'm always continuously improving. And the wonderful thing about this life is that no one ever gets to the end and finishes everything. We all want more. We all want to be better people. We all want to leave the world a better place. And when you make peace with that, when you make peace with the eternal process of perfection that the universe is undergoing, then you realize any point within that process can be considered to be perfect because there is no end point to this universe. So where you are is good. And I ask you this question, lady. I ask this question to anybody who's watching. If you woke up in the morning and you believe that you were valuable, that you were worthwhile, that who you are mattered, and that despite everything that you could live the life that you're wanting to, not because you're going to achieve it, but because living it is more fun than not living it, then you're going to live with the peace and the love that you're really looking for. You're going to live with the satisfaction and the hope, and you're going to inspire other people to do the same. And isn't that the type of life that we want to live?
Big yes. Yes.
It has to be. It has to be. And maybe there are some people on this planet who would answer no to that question, but I've yet to meet them. I've yet to meet people who answer no to that. Dimitri, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that to answer Betty's question, I agree with her because there's certain things that you have to watch out because you're a female. For example, late at night, don't walk at a dark alley by yourself. You know, it just does. If you're a female, it just doesn't make sense. So there's certain things you need to be careful if you're a female, but don't take it too much to the extreme. You know, once you create that safety net, and it's very logical to see what it is. After that, let go of the fear, take risks, and life will change for you.
That's right. And isn't it interesting how the only real way for you to overcome fear or to transmute it is to actually engage with it. You have to like dance with it. I had this dream when I was a young kid, very young. I had a tiger chasing me in my dreams. And one day I stopped and I confronted the tiger, and the tiger stopped and it transformed into something else. I won't tell you the whole dream. I'll be revealing a lot of information about myself. But when I confronted this tiger that hunted me night after night, it actually revealed the truth to me that had I not decided to engage with fear, then I would not be able to do it. It's this crazy thing that when you take risk and when you confront fear and when you go for it, the universe has this way of opening up to you and revealing that what you were afraid of, what you were trying to control, didn't need to be feared and didn't need to be controlled. It's this illusion that we can control things that causes us to make this effort. But the truth is, you know, when you're walking in a dark alley at night, you don't need your intellectual mind to tell you that you're doing something strange. Your heart tells you, get out of here, don't be here, you know what I mean? And there's so much logical, common sense information that your heart grants you that if you're just willing to listen to it, if you're just willing to even just experiment with it, you know, you go to the coffee shop and you say, well, what coffee should I buy? And instead of using your mind, you use your heart, right? And your heart might tell you, try this new coffee. And you say, oh, I never tried that coffee, but you tried it anyway. And you sort of experiment in that way. As you start experimenting and being willing to do that because you're willing to do it because you're not, because you accept the the positive and negative, you accept the contrast, you accept the world that we're living in, then you become someone who grows. Then you become someone who truly engages. Then you become someone who is truly powerful because they have control over the only thing you could possibly have control over in this life, and that's the control of your own perspective. There's a lot more we can say about this. I wanted to give more in-depth about decision making, but I think we're going to need 5 more shows. I want to thank you, Dimitri, Beatty, and Bertrand for coming into the show here today, participating with me. It's always a lot of fun. You guys want to answer the question? What's for dinner?
Yeah. For me, I'm probably gonna have a veal burger.
A what burger?
Veal.
Veal burger. Interesting. Sounds tasty. Awesome. Sounds good. Dimitri?
Italian spicy sausage and a salad.
Nice. Very good. Maybe I should get rid of this segment because you guys always make my food seem like cardboard. I'm gonna be having. I'm probably gonna have chicken again tonight with some rice. I'm flip-flopping between chicken and pork chops. What do you guys think? Chicken or pork chops?
Mix them together?
Mix them together! Oh, okay. Let's marry me because that's exactly the answer I'm looking for. Actually, no, don't marry me. My girlfriend's watching this. I don't think she's going to like that at all. That's really wonderful. Eat them both. That's probably where my brain is leading. Bertrand, he's eating prunes straight from the tree. I think he's got us all beat with his... I don't know if he's a vegan, but that sounds like a vegan thing to do. Prunes straight from the tree. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for participating. Anything left to say?
This was an amazing show. Thanks. Thanks, Peter.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. You guys are great. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Richard. Thanks. Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. Thunderous applause. Look, I wanted to Lounge at 6 p.m. We're having an in-depth conversation about the law of attraction at 6 p.m. to 7:30, so it's about an hour and a half. 7:45 p.m. same day, we're having another discussion with the Happy for a Change meetup, and we're going to be talking about technology, spirituality, and the evolving future. So if you want to get in on that talk, you can find that at meetup.com/happyforachange, or you can go to happyforachange.com. Scroll down to the bottom there, you'll see our events. That's going to be at the Chai Tea Lounge as well. Encourage anybody who's coming to participate to buy something at the Chai Tea Lounge. They have wonderful macaroons, wonderful teas, wonderful cool stuff that you can buy. Always very tasty. People are always having a fun time. There's also a restaurant right next door called El Mundo. So if you're coming down there a little late, you can eat supper. You can have some supper there. Waiting list is on for our Law of Attraction event, but not on, I don't think, for Happy for a Change. If you want to join that, please feel free. And if you want to contribute to our Indiegogo campaign, we've extended that, so please, if you can, if you find the time, if you want to, if you like the idea, please contribute to our Indiegogo campaign. You can find the link right down below, or on our Facebook page, or on our Meetup page, or on our YouTube page, or on our Twitter account. Anywhere that you can find us, you can find out information about that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to give a special thanks to everybody who joined us for the fundraiser on Sunday. Melissa was the first time we met face-to-face. We've seen her on the show. We met her face-to-face. She had even more stories to tell us. It was always fun having her. Cynthia Chavez, thank you very much for coming out with us. We'll be putting you up as a sponsor for our events and for our meetup page, Kala Immigration, so really appreciate that. Excuse me. Jonathan and his lovely lady, I believe her name is also Melissa, hoping I remember, and the cute little baby Clementine, so very cute. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you so much for your contribution. That was incredible and completely unexpected. And thank you for everybody else who contributed. Afro was there. Sam was there. I'm forgetting someone, I'm sure of it. Thank you to everybody who participated. Sam, if you're watching this, you can send me a message real quick. Who was there? Who was there? I don't know. But maybe we'll say thank you on another platform. Look, is there anything else to say? Yes. Tune in next week. Wednesday, 6:45 p.m. for the pre-show and 7 p.m. for another episode of The Appreciationist. I'm Peter Hartman. Have a nice time. Take care. I'm going to stall a little bit. Maybe Sam will send me that message. Maybe I forgot it was sitting right there in front of me. I'm sure it was Cynthia. It was Melissa. It was Beatty. Of course, Beatty was there. Beatty was there. Beatty was in this show. I shouldn't have forgotten that. Jonathan, Melissa, Clementine, and someone else. I'm sure of it. Please check us out. We're doing great things. HappyForAChange.com and thelawofattraction.ca. You can go now. I think most people have gone now. I can see all those viewers down there that disappeared. I think I'm just having fun here by myself. Why not? Why not have fun here by myself? I'm just going to have a drink of water. A nice drink of water. I don't think Sam's messaging me. I don't think that's happening. Can't stall for any longer. Yes, I can stall for a little longer. Is there anything else to say? Peace, next week. If you want to hear the joke for peace. If you want to choose the word for next week, we're looking for a word to replace expand. I think that's gone. We need something else. We're also looking for a topic. If you want to contribute to a topic of the show, our best conversations always come out from you, from people who are requesting information. And if you want to participate with us live on the show, please just check the information that's in the description and follow the instructions. Add us to your Google Circle. Sam told me I didn't forget anybody, so I'm going to jump out of here. Having a fun time. Take care. Goodbye. See you later. Thank you very much. This is so much fun.